Beyond the Maze story number 4. Please help me grow my channel. I need your support. I post a story for my subscriber. All right, let's do this. A woman in the village. I, 32 am, so this happened a while back, but it still kind of boils my blood when I think about it. I used to visit my grandma in her village every few months. It was my escape, you know? Peace, quiet, fresh air, the whole shebang. There was this woman in the village. Let's call her the neighbor, who was always overly friendly, like suspiciously so. She'd always be offering me tea, asking about my life in the city, the works. At first, I thought she was just being nice, a typical village aunty. But then small things started happening. My snacks would go missing from the porch. A small antique my grandma had given me vanished from my room. I'd brush it off, thinking I was just misplacing things. Then came the big one. I'd left 5,000 Indian rupees in an envelope in my cupboard. Money I was saving to get my grandma a new shawl. Gone. Vanished into thin air. That's when the dots connected. The neighbor's overly sweet demeanor, the missing trinkets, it all pointed to her. Now, I'm not one for drama or shouting matches. I decided to play it cool, document everything. I started keeping track of every interaction with the neighbor, every time something went missing. I even started subtly marking my belongings. The next time I visited, guess who was extra eager to offer me tea? Yep, the neighbor. And guess what went missing that night? A small silver coin my grandfather had given me. This time, though, I had proof. I'd scratched a tiny X on it. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I spoke to a few of the other villagers, casually mentioning the missing items. Turns out, I wasn't the only one. A few others had noticed small things disappearing from their homes, too. Bingo. Update 1. Okay, so things escalated a bit. After talking to the other villagers, I realized this neighbor had been pulling this crap for a while. Small things here and there, hoping no one would notice or make a fuss. But 5,000 Indian rupees in a family heirloom? That crossed a line. I decided to set a trap. Before my next visit, I accidentally left a 2,000 Indian rupees note lying in plain sight in my room. It was a bait, and I had a tiny, almost invisible mark on it. I also told my grandma I was expecting an important document and asked her to keep an eye out for anyone entering my room while I was out. Lo and behold, the next day, the 2,000 Indian rupees was gone. My grandma mentioned seeing the neighbor coming out of my room earlier that afternoon, saying she was just checking if I needed anything. Yeah, right. That evening, during the village gathering, I casually brought up the recent misplacements. The neighbor was there, all smiles and innocence. Then I dropped the bomb. I mentioned the 5,000 Indian rupees, the silver coin, and now the 2,000 Indian rupees note. I described the almost invisible mark I had put on it. You should have seen her face. It went from sugary sweet to pale as a ghost in a millisecond. A few of the other villagers chimed in, sharing their own experiences with missing items. The atmosphere got thick real quick. The village elder stepped in and suggested we have a discussion at his place the next morning. The neighbor looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. I just kept my cool, a small, grim satisfaction bubbling inside me. Update 2. The discussion with the village elder didn't go exactly as I had planned, but it worked out in the end. The neighbor initially tried to deny everything, playing the victim and saying I was making things up, but the other villagers stood their ground, recounting their own losses. And then I presented my evidence, the marked 2,000 Indian rupees note. When the elder asked her to empty her pockets, there it was, my marked note. She couldn't deny it anymore. Tears started flowing, and she launched into a sob story about needing money. Honestly, I felt a sliver of pity, but the betrayal, especially of my grandma's trust, was too deep. The elder, a wise old man, didn't call the cops or anything like that. Instead, he proposed a more village-style justice. The neighbor had to return all the stolen money. We managed to tally up a rough estimate with everyone's input, and she had to publicly apologize to everyone in the village. On top of that, she was ostracized for a while. No one was supposed to interact with her unnecessarily. It wasn't exactly the legal justice you'd expect in the city, but it felt right. The shame on her face during the public apology was palpable. My grandma, who was heartbroken by the whole thing, felt a sense of closure. Final update. So, it's been a few months since all that went down. I visited my grandma again last week. The village felt different, calmer. The neighbor was still there, keeping to herself, as expected. She didn't even make eye contact with me. And honestly, I didn't care. The best part? The sense of community in the village felt stronger than ever. The fact that everyone came together to address the issue and support each other was actually kind of heartwarming. My grandma is doing much better, and she's even started trusting people a bit more. As for me, I learned a valuable lesson. Keep your eyes open, even in the most peaceful of places. And sometimes, the quietest forms of justice are the most effective. I'm glad I handled it the way I did. No shouting, no unnecessary drama, just cold, hard evidence and the support of a community that had my back. It wasn't about revenge. It was about making things right. And in its own way, justice was served.